The film begins in the Antarctic Ocean during winter. A massive ship is stranded in the frozen sea. The captain is trying his best to safely evacuate the ship and all its passengers. However, the cold is increasing and survival is becoming almost impossible. On a snowy, stormy night, they hear a man screaming for help. The captain and some of his crew rush to his aid and the man pleads, "Please take me away or kill me. Don't leave me here to suffer." Moved by his plight, the captain brings him aboard. However, as he does so, a monster approaches the ship, which was actually after the man, and he is begging for help. At this moment, only the monster's terrifying arms and long tentacles are shown, and as soon as it arrives, it begins attacking the ship's crew. Everyone fights it, but no one can defeat it. Even bullets have no effect on it. Seeing this, a soldier attacks it with a powerful mini-rocket-like gun. But the monster doesn't die from it. It simply falls off the ship. In its rage, the monster begins to shake their ship violently, causing significant damage inside the ship and endangering their lives. Seeing this, the captain from above strikes the ice near the monster with great force, shattering the surrounding ice, burying it in the cold, icy water. They thought the monster was dead, but that wasn't the case. Well, morning comes and the captain comes to the same man they helped last night and asks, "How did this monster come after you?" Hearing this, the man begins to tell his story and the scenes flash back. We see Victor's childhood when he was 12 years old. Victor was the son of a renowned scientist and he wanted him to become a scientist, a very good doctor. With a lot of hard work, both his and his father's, Victor became a scientist, and that too at a very young age. But his science was of no use. When Victor realized that he couldn't save his mother, he became angry at his father, asking, "What good is this science because of which we couldn't save our mother?" His father explains to him that it's beyond our power to bring a person back to life. And from here, a new journey begins in Victor's life. He was determined to find a way to bring dead people back to life. He would find a formula or a technique that his father didn't know. The scene cuts to the present, where the monster, which had been submerged underwater, emerges from the water again. Surprisingly, despite being in such cold water, he didn't even sneeze. After showing this, the scenes shift back to the past, where Victor recounts his story. Victor continued to work on his idea, searching for ways to revive humans. Years passed. When Victor turned 30, he finally discovered a way to revive humans using human organs through electricity. He went to a meeting of prominent businessmen to discuss his experiment. There, he showed everyone that he had brought half a human back to life using a machine. Seeing this, everyone there was horrified, believing that Victor was trying to challenge God by resurrecting a human in this way and was imagining himself as a god. They began abusing Victor and immediately told him to stop his experiment. But Victor didn't stop and threw a ball at the humanoid he had created. The humanoid catches the ball and even speaks. Seeing this, everyone is horrified and immediately tells Victor to leave. No one was willing to invest in his experiment. Victor leaves, leaving the creature he created writhing in pain behind. Some people had turned their backs on his research and success because they believed that if people learned about Victor's research, no one would die and the world would be filled with more people. A disheartened Victor leaves, and then a wealthy businessman calls him. The real problem was that this businessman had a lot of money and a large business, but his own life was very short. 4 years he had been searching for a way to cure his illness. He could extend his life. And now, watching Victor and learning about his experiments, he too felt a sense of hope that he too could live his life. The businessman tells Victor, "I'll get you all the money you need, all the things you need from wherever you are in the world. Build your own lab and complete your experiment so you can save my life later." Victor was overjoyed. He goes to his brother William's house to share the good news that he's building his own lab. His brother is also delighted with his success, and it's there that Victor meets Elizabeth, William's wife, who explains to him that there's a fine line between science and God. Just use science to complete your experiments. Don't ever consider yourself God. Victor now goes to a faraway place where no one can find out about his experiments. He slowly transforms this mansion into his own castle and orders 2 large silver antennas. He knew that bringing a full human to life would require a tremendous amount of electricity, and no one could produce that much electricity at the time. To bring a full human to life, he planned to use lightning. These silver antennas would collect the lightning and complete his experiment, bringing the human he had created to life. William and his wife, Elizabeth, the niece of a prominent businessman, also supported Victor. They helped him complete the lab. After the lab was built, Victor conducted numerous experiments to bring a full human to life, but he was unsuccessful. Then Elizabeth told him, "Not like that. You start from scratch. Look at yourself. Make it the way you are." Victor understood Elizabeth's point and began his experiment anew. He focused on his own body movements, and to make the humanoid he created move, he connected the skeleton and muscles with wires, allowing it to move its arms and legs and walk. He laid wires throughout his creature's body. After completing its structure, Victor now needed to install all the organs. Where would he find them? War was also going on at that time. He collected numerous dead bodies from the battlefield and, removing the organs from those dead bodies, implanted them into his humanoid exactly as a human would be. The process of creating this humanoid was horrific. Victor cut open each dead body to find the right organs. He implanted the eyes of one person and the nose of another into the humanoid. Finally, when he completes this body, he names it Frankenstein. He connects its heart to a power machine that will bring it to life through electricity. After creating the body, all he can do is wait for a thunderstorm, when lightning will strike its silver antennas, bringing the humanoid to life. He named it Frankenstein. One day a storm does arrive. Victor thinks his experiment will be complete today, and that very day the businessman who commissioned the experiment arrives. Victor asks him, "Look, today the experiment is complete. What do you want from me?" The man replies, "What more can I want? I just want you to bring me back to life just like this body when I die. And if you can't bring me back to life, then put my heart and mind back into this body." Hearing this, Victor says, "No, I won't tamper with my body any further." Hearing this, the businessman becomes enraged. He arrives and a fight ensues between them. In the ensuing scuffle, the businessman falls down and is killed. Lightning also strikes the towers Victor had built. But even then, Victor realizes his experiment was a failure. The humanoid Frankenstein hadn't come to life. Victor was now completely devastated. His years of hard work had been wasted. Exhausted, he fell asleep. When he woke up in the morning, he couldn't believe his eyes. Frankenstein could walk. He was standing before his eyes. The sight of his creature, bound in bandages, frightened him. Its movements were incredibly strange. It was obvious it wasn't a normal human being. Such is the way a creature connected to wires moves. Every part of its body belonged to another human being. This creature, cut into tiny pieces, looked terrifying. Victor himself was very afraid of Frankenstein. That's why he locked him in a secret room. Victor noticed that this huge creature's brain was comparable to that of a newborn baby. Victor now teaches him to speak, first naming him after himself and then saying, "I am Victor." Frankenstein, in the same manner, speaks in his terrifying voice, "I am Victor." With each passing day, Victor continues to teach him how to live a normal human life. But Victor forgets one thing. Frankenstein is mentally a child and must be treated like one. A few days later, William comes to visit Victor with his wife, Elizabeth, and Victor is alarmed by their arrival as Victor had killed Elizabeth's uncle. Victor hasn't yet met Elizabeth when Elizabeth hears noises coming from the basement. When she goes there, she encounters Frankenstein. She is both astonished by his sight and delighted at Victor's success. Seeing Frankenstein, she says, "You're so big." Frankenstein asks him his name and Elizabeth tells him hers. Elizabeth also tries to teach Frankenstein things. She tells him 3 names: water, air, and fire. When Victor notices that Frankenstein isn't understanding what he's teaching, but rather Elizabeth's, because she's explaining things to him at a child's level, Victor feels a little jealous. Angered, he turns to his brother William and tells him to take Elizabeth away immediately. "The creature I've created is very dangerous. It's the one that killed Elizabeth's uncle." He shows William the body of Elizabeth's uncle and says, "If you value your life and your wife's, then leave today and I'll kill this creature of mine too." William, following Victor's advice, takes Elizabeth out of the ship. As they leave, Victor pours gasoline all over the palace and sets it on fire, causing the entire palace to explode, sending Victor flying out. His leg was so badly injured that it was completely severed, and he was barely attached to the back of his body by a few veins. Seeing Victor's condition, William becomes distraught and takes him and Elizabeth with him to the city. The scene then cuts back to the present. In the present, We were shown that Frankenstein had emerged from the water unscathed and, seeking revenge, had gone inside the ship and begun setting fire to parts of the ship. The captain confronts Frankenstein and asks him, "Is the story Victor your father told you true? Are you really so dangerous that you kill humans?" Frankenstein replies, "No, that's only half the truth. I've never killed a human. Yes, I do admit that I'm angry with Victor. I want revenge for what he did to me. He left me in the moving palace. I barely escaped through the basement. That path led into the woods. I wandered the woods for years." He says that Victor never even considered that I was a child. "How did I survive in that world mentally? Even animals would run away in fear at the sight of me. I was so lonely. In the woods, hunters would see me and immediately attack me because they thought I was evil. Similarly, another time hunters spotted him and he couldn't escape and they shot him. To save his life, he ran to a house and hid inside. When he regained consciousness, he saw that all his wounds had healed." Frankenstein recounted all this with astonishment. He said, "I looked inside that house again. There were so many people living in that house, lovingly. I realized that I too should have a family like that. I should have people like that with whom I could talk." Frankenstein watched an old man teaching his granddaughter. He secretly understood everything. He listened to their language, learned, and noted their behavior. Frankenstein felt a desire to become a part of this family. He saw how the family members went about their work and took care of the household. He also left the house to help them. He decided to provide for their needs. Sometimes he would break bundles of wood from the forest and leave them with them. Sometimes he would hunt a deer and shake them. The family is perplexed as to who is helping them. Grandpa then brushes them off, saying, "Maybe God is helping them." Some time passes and the family decides to leave their home and move to the city. But Grandpa remains. It turns out that Grandpa can't see but he can hear, and he always knew that Frankenstein was living in their house. He considered Frankenstein a human being and also knew that Frankenstein had always been there to help him. After his family leaves, Frankenstein appears before him, and the old man accepts him as a member of his family. During the time he stays with Frankenstein, he teaches him to live like a human being, teaching him to read and do all the things humanly possible. One day, Frankenstein learns everything and Grandpa is talking to him. He asks him, "Where did you come from?" Frankenstein is shocked by this question as he doesn't have an answer. Grandpa explains, "You must remember where you were last?" Frankenstein replies, "Yes, I remember the place I came from. I can go there." Grandpa convinces him, "Go there. You'll learn about your life." Obeying his advice, Frankenstein comes to the same lab where Victor created him. There he learns about Victor's experiments and is surprised to learn that he wasn't born but created. He also gets Victor's address. He decides to go to Victor and request him to create another creature like him, with whom he can live and survive in this world. After learning about himself, he immediately goes to Grandpa to tell him the good news. But what he sees there is that Grandpa has been attacked by wolves and is on the verge of death. He is devastated. He tells Grandpa, "You can't die. You're my only companion in this world." While they're talking, the old man's sons arrive, mistaking Frankenstein for a monster and shooting him from behind. Frankenstein runs to escape them and the men fire so many bullets at him that he finally collapses. They thought he was dead, but he was only unconscious. The next day he regained consciousness. But now Grandpa was gone. His children had taken him away. Frankenstein now knew what to do. He had to go to Victor, who had already found Victor's address. While traveling, he came across Victor and his brother William partying. Enraged by the thought that he was living a life of pain while Victor was living a life of debauchery, he attacked Victor and declared, "I will kill you." Victor replied, "I want you to kill me. I regret creating such a hideous creature like you. I've regretted it ever since I saved a monster like you." Frankenstein tells him, "I'm not a monster." But Victor ignores him and is about to shoot him. Elizabeth appears before Frankenstein and takes Frankenstein's bullet. Frankenstein is once again broken because Grandpa and Elizabeth were the only ones who considered him human. In grief, he picks Elizabeth up from his arms and leaves the party. William, also traumatized by the death of his wife at home, tells Victor, "You've ruined everything." Although Victor continued to apologize, William expelled him from his home. Victor was now deeply enraged at Frankenstein for ruining his brother's life. Seeking revenge, he again tracked Frankenstein down and in a fit of rage cut off his nose. Victor declared, "I will have my revenge on you." Frankenstein replied, "Well, if you want to get revenge on me, then find me." With that, he left and years passed. For many years, Victor continued to pursue Frankenstein, taking with him many things that would have cost him his life. He could have killed Frankenstein. One day, Frankenstein himself appeared before him and said, "What do you have to kill me? Give it to me. I'll kill myself, but if I don't die, I'll kill you." Victor handed Frankenstein dynamite, or a bomb, which caused Frankenstein to explode, but as usual, he didn't die. He revived after some time. From then on, he was after Victor because, as he had promised, he had to kill him. While he was torturing and killing Victor, Victor called the captain and his men for help. This was the same scene shown at the beginning of the movie. In the present, Frankenstein was narrating this entire story to the captain and Victor. He told Victor, "I never wanted anything more from you. I didn't even want to kill you. In the beginning, all I wanted was to find you and ask you to make me another one like me with whom I could spend my life." Hearing this, Victor's eyes fill with tears and he apologizes to Frankenstein, saying, "I didn't trust you, the one I created." Victor's condition was dire. He was about to die. But before dying, he tells Frankenstein, "You must live in my place and you must forgive me." "You will." Frankenstein forgives Victor and everyone on the ship begins to cry at this end. Finally, Frankenstein disembarks and frees their ship from the iceberg and sends it out into the ocean. Everyone is thus freed, all because of Frankenstein. Everyone waves to Frankenstein as they leave. Frankenstein was saddened to see humans drift away from him once again. But now he was determined to live this life alone, and the movie ends with this depiction of his fate. Subscribe to Movo Reels, where every movie tells its story again.